TNA Wrestling crosses that line again, and another action-packed episode of Impact on AMC in America and TNA Plus over here in the UK. Make sure, like I say every week, get it downloaded, get it subscribed. $9.99 gets you the lot. The Impacts, the PLEs, the special shows, and the Vault, where you can see some of the old TNA stars, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, and even Frankie Kazarian, who is still in TNA as we speak. Right, let's get on with it. TNA, no messing around this week. Straight into the action. Indy Hartwell, Heather from by Elegance. Now, of course, they had their knockouts tag team championship match a couple of weeks back at No Surrender. Sacrifice is the next one at No Surrender, and obviously the Elegance brand come out on top on this one. A good opener, this a nice way to kick off the show. I will say the Knockouts roster has now got a lot of depth to it, and I like this because now we can build up some more stars. They're in, they're in that process of we're still on that sort of figuring out process. We're just like a month in to the AMC, just over a month in to AMC. So we're going to be feeling out a few new knockouts. Obviously, Elena Black's in there as well. Indy Hartwell, one that come in a year or so ago. And we're in a good phase with the knockouts. We're definitely in a good spot. But yeah, this was a good opener for sure. Excuse me, Ash by Elegance on this calls out Mickey James for next week. Now, those of you that will remember Sacrifice, uh, no surrender. Fuck, God, this is too many S's. All right, too many S's. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. All right, too early. She called out Mickey James for next week. Now, as I said last week at No Surrender, Mickey James come out, surprised everybody, and come out and attacked Ash by Elegance in this. So she's called him out for next week as well. During this, though, there was a very bit of an awkward landing from Heather on a Spanish fly on this. I mean, it's been a week of pretty nasty falls for the women. If you remember, if you see Dynamite this week with Megan Bain, and this one was just as bad. Not just as bad, but yeah, very close. She avoided injury, thankfully, but it just looked nasty. Glad that she's okay. That's the main thing. We're glad that she's okay. Could have been a lot worse, but anyway, the winner of this one was Indy Hartwell with the Hertz Donut Full Nelson Slam. Picks up the victory now, pinning one half of the tag team champions. Now, Zaya Brookside's kind of in between teams here, obviously with Lei Ying Lee, and she does teams with Indy Hartwell. So, excuse me. Does that mean that she gets another opportunity with Indy Hartwell at these tag team champions? Because if you pin the champions, right, you deserve the opportunity. That's how we've always seen it. That's how we've always known about it, right? If you pin your champion, it's like an eliminator match, isn't it? If you pin your champion, you get the shot at the title. That's where we should be on this. So we'll have to see if that happens in the coming weeks on TNA. But another good win for Indy Hartwell. Still a bit miffed as to why she didn't win the Knockouts Championship last year. I still think that was everything was set up prime for her to do that. So I was, a little bit surprised that she didn't. But we'll have to see if that comes around again. Right now, Jodie Fret is the threat for the Knockouts champion, Ariana Grace, at the minute. So we'll see what happens there. Now, over the last couple of weeks, Feast or Fired happened. We remember that Macklin pulled open the Fired briefcase, if you all remember. A couple of weeks ago, he attacked Santana. He did it again at No Surrender. Got it right this time. But this week, apologies. I don't know if I've still got a cold coming or what, but very croaky this morning. Macklin tries to enter the building this week on TNA, met by security, plus Tom Hannifan, who's very good friends with Steve Macklin, knows him from years gone by in NXT as well. Tom basically told Steve that he'll be arrested if he tries to enter the building. But Steve Macklin said, look, he doesn't care and he just wants to plead his case. That's all he wants to do is come in, plead his case to management and see where it goes from there. And he's asked Tom Hannifan to help with that. I don't know whether we will or whether he will. plead the case, or whether he'll get an opportunity to plead his case. I mean, you got Santino, who probably won't allow it. The suit, Daria Ray may allow it. So, because obviously management right now does right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing half the time right now on this with Santino and Daria. So that needs to be nipped in the bud pretty quickly, in my opinion. But as it stands right now, Macklin was not allowed in the building this week on TNA. Then it was TNA World Champion Mike Santana, who's clearly not happy with Steve Macklin. He's going to drop his bitch ass, is what he said in this. And but then he calls out Leon Slater. Now we all know that Leon and Mike at No Surrender was a tag team. Mike got taken out of the equation, left Leon to well, Leon was fending for his own. He won the match, pinned Nick Nemeth, and ultimately won the match for the team. But what's been getting into Leon's head, or what Santana feels is getting into Leon's head, was Daria Ray's option C. Now, for those of you who don't know what option C is, you're the X Division champion. You can keep that championship, you can keep defending that championship, or you can cash that championship in at a shot for the World Heavyweight Championship. And he's just basically saying, look, you don't let it get into your head. Yeah, he's kind of a warning to him as well, not to not to get too ahead of himself. Maybe that's where we're going. But he did say that Slater did prove that he had his back in that match in Love No Surrender when they were both getting attacked and Santana got taken out of the equation. But they were interrupted, of course, by the Nemeth brothers. Of course they was. Of course there was, and just as Slater was saying that there's no hard feelings, yeah, it is what it is. Slater got lucky at No Surrender, according to the Nemeth brothers, and you know what? Slater was just annoyed. He was just like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of the excuses. Let's get it on, you know. But he was interrupted by the aforementioned suit, Daria Ray, who told Leon in no uncertain terms to shut up because she makes the matches around here. And the match isn't happening tonight on Impact, but she may book the 4 wrestlers to compete next week. But she then also tells the TNA World Champion, X Division Champion, to leave the ring because they're delaying a scheduled match, which we'll get to in a minute, which in fact there isn't a scheduled match at the minute at all, which was quite weird because we'll get into what was next, but we head into the locker room for the system, the new and improved system, as we all know. Brian Myers was questioning why Moose is interrupting the beatdown of Santana and Slater at No Surrender. And Bear Bronson was just banging on the locker room before saying that Moose has made a big mistake coming to the aid of the champions. And obviously, he's in the firing line for the system. But, they did kick Moose out of the system. So there is a little bit of, you've done that, so I'll do this kind of thing. So the system, though, clogging up the enemies, but still very much in the firing line for championships because they took out the champions as well. I wonder where this is going. Will the system get opportunities? Will Moose and form another faction? Where are we going to go with this? But I do like the system. I think that the new and improved system is very, very good. Very much enjoying it. Bear Bronson, for me, is an absolute star in the making, and he will undoubtedly should be one to watch this year for TNA. There's no question about that. Whether he's in the system, whether he breaks out the system or what, he will be one that TNA should really look to progress forward as we move through the months that is 2026 in the Impact Zone. Speaking of the Impact Zone, we'll get back to that in a minute. Kazarian returns next week for a TNA, which is always good to see. The King, and which will be, and she's put him on commentary next week as Daria Ray. So the King Kazarian will be on commentary for that tag match, which is made official for next week. Leon Slater, Mike Santana against the Nemeths. Now we go back to the ring. We do have a match. There is a scheduled match coming up, but Ariana Grace first in the ring with Stacks, and she's loving the fact that she's the Knockouts World Champion. No one who believed in her, you know, but it is what it is. She said that there's online complaints She offers a very sarcastic apology to Santino. See, what have I said all along? What have I said all along? That that was a ruse. I told you. I told you, I told you, I told you. And she did acknowledge that she put the world title picture, she was putting the world title picture because of Santino, but it was her own effort that won the championship. Nothing to do with the Cobra that she stole from her dad. Nothing. Anyway, then we get to the match, which is Trey Miguel and Stacks for the International Championship. Trey Miguel's first defense of the championship since winning it from Stacks. On this. This was a solid, solid defense from Trey Miguel. He's brought his own custom international championship, actually. You need to have a look at that. That's really, really cool. I like that. I would say also, and I don't know if it's anyone else has noticed it, he's put on some mass. It seems to be the thing at the moment. A lot of people are putting on mass, and he seems to have put on a bit of mass, which actually I think could set him apart as the international champion compared to like when he was like an X division, a bit leaner, faster pace, but the international championship probably more hard hitting, more striking. So maybe that mass that he's put on is actually going to help with this because, like I said, it's not about flying over top ropes and flipping here, flipping there, and exciting. The international championship, Macklin was held it. He's a hard hitter. Stacks is a hard hitter. Maybe Trey Miguel's putting on that size because that's kind of wanting to become that hard hitting champion instead of the exciting. Because you've already got that with Leon as the X Division champion. Leon will fly around everywhere. He'll jump off roofs. He'll come off buildings. He'll do whatever he needs to do. But that's Leon's game. So maybe Trey Miguel now is trying to set himself apart from the old Trey Miguel and perhaps into the new Trey Miguel, which is um, more hard hitting, striking version. All here for it. I'd love to see it. Very, very good. And it's again, solid, solid defense on here. And he did actually win. He won with the lightning spiral on Stacks. And looking forward to more defenses from Trey Miguel. He's obviously I feel as if like Trey's also trying kind of saying to other parties, this is what you could have had, a little bit. That's a little, maybe sound a little bit petty, but he's I can imagine there's still a bit of hurt in there after what happened last time when he was meant to go elsewhere. So anyway, that's just me. That's just my opinion on that. Eric Young delivers a message to the TNA locker room. He says they're going to cleanse the company of the false prophets, the politicians, and the imposters. And he's focusing on Leon Slater. He says that Slater is seeking validation from another company. We know who that is. Despite being the X Division Championship, despite being the X Division champion, the X Division champion, that is or was the lifeblood of TNA Wrestling. Now he's got a point there that the X Division Championship absolutely was the lifeblood of TNA, and it still is. We know Leon is being very, shall we say, touted by ZWWE. Um, and will probably, at the time of contract renewal, will probably want to prize him away from TNA. I don't doubt that. I think that's, on the cards at some point. So Eric Young does have a point here. As much as I don't, like anyone that goes against Leon, I do agree with Eric Young on this one. I don't know. Must be the Friday morning coffee. Speaking of which, sorry everybody, I need it. Anyway, we move on. Jody Fret, Tessa Blanchard on this match, the knockouts division match. Jody Fret, obviously, number one contender for Ariana Grace's knockouts championship. I feel like Tessa, and I don't know because Tessa is, regardless of the stuff that's gone on, in the past and whatnot, and all of that, she's one of the best to step foot inside that ring. I just wonder if those issues from her past are affecting TNA's promotion of her. Because I don't feel like maybe they're being extra cautious or whatever it is. You know, I just feel like she should be in that main event picture. She should be the knockouts champion, really. Yeah, I just don't know. I just feel, I don't know, something's, not they're not quite pushing Tessa, perhaps how they should do. And again, demons of the past could be um, making that happen, really, in a lot of ways, which is a real shame because if when she steps foot inside that ring, I still don't think there's a better knockout right now than Tessa Blanchard, and I will stand by that. I will absolutely stand by that. Anyway, match itself, yeah, it was okay. There wasn't a lot to it. It just basically ended up being a beat down on Jodie Fret. She picked up the win via DQ because she got attacked by Victoria Crawford and Myla Moore as well. So there really wasn't, you know, um, a lot to it, unfortunately. But Jodie Fret picks up the victory, and you kind of expected Jodie Fret to win the match anyway, because obviously she's the number one contender for the Knockout Championship. You don't want that number one contender to be losing, this early. Just she's only just won the opportunity, so it would make her look really weak. So it was kind of Tessa was kind of put in a spot here where she wasn't going to win, and they just kind of had to protect her in some way because she doesn't want her eating pinfalls. I mean, there's a difference there, that so they just, I've said this. This has been my point all week about people eating too many pins, credibility levels, and whatnot. And yeah, I think this one, it was kind of a bad match for Tessa in many ways because she was never going to win it, and it was just trying to find a better way to keep Tessa solid, keep her, you know, in the mix, keep her strong, but have her lose the match. But we still can't, we still can't. I don't know, it doesn't sit right with me that she's not in a knockout style picture. Okay. Anyway, here we go. Next match. What a match this was. This was brilliant. Tag team wrestling at its absolute best here. Sinner and Saint, who we hadn't seen in a while on TNA, and it was a nice surprise to see them. They took on the team of BDE and Rich Swan, who have come together recently on this. This was a great showing. This was brilliant from both teams, to be fair. BDE did take a barrage of offense from Icarius and Williams in this. I really liked it. He was like being fed to the wolves. I do feel like that Rich Swan's a great partner for him, and also in a way he's going to teach him that tough love in many, many ways because he will, kind of feeding him to the wolves in this one, to be fair. It's kind of be the right way. And ultimately, it'll end up with BD going back on a single run, maybe having those matches with Rich Swan. Maybe Rich Swan will turn on him, and we'll get to Rich Swan and BDE in the future. However, and in somewhat of a surprise, although I've said about that, I still thought it was a surprise that Total Annihilation from Sinner and Saint on BDE picked up the victory. I thought they may have given BDE and Rich Swan the victory. Maybe they're building towards that. Maybe that's what they're doing. But thoroughly enjoyed um, this match. I really, really did. I thought this was a great tag team match. Want to see more of Rich Swann and BDE as a team as well. Sinner and Saint have always impressed me on TNA, and I've really been impressed by what they've done. And I know they were very young for a period of time as well. Now sort of branching out on their own, and I really want to see more of them in Impact. I think they're a great, great team, and victory this week on Impact. Big brawl in the locker room. Then we go backstage at AJ Francis and Mence Warner. The security guards are going out everywhere. Steph Delanda walks into the dressing room and she tells the women that were cozying up to AJ to leave. And they get into a heated confrontation before the women call security. What a shame. Them two are going to be, wow, they're going to they're going to go at it at some point, aren't they? I just feel that you can't have it as a normal match. I know Mence Warner's been in a Monsters Ball before, but I think he needs to be in it again. AJ Francis, I mean, I still think that he has done so well since coming to TNA. He's been a big attraction, and I've really enjoyed him being a part of TNA wrestling, and hopefully more to come for AJ and Mence, of course, in this. And yeah, very interesting. Yeah, time for those two. Speaking of interesting times, the Hardys were cutting a promo on the system, and again, the system come out. The system basically tells Matt and Jeff that they're on a 4-on-2 disadvantage, and no sooner did they say that, the Righteous showed up, and Dutch did apologize for the miscommunication and that no surrender. But Matt's still questioning if they are legit, and Vincent was said they would prove their loyalty in any way. The Hardys won. However, this is the first time that we've seen a little bit of potential of the Righteous's real actions in this, and it's possible collusion with TNA Authority member Daria Ray. Yep. Potentially there's something going on there, and we've been waiting for it. It now looks as if it's starting to play out. The Righteous and Daria Ray potentially. Speaking of, well, not speaking of Daria Ray, but the knockouts itself, Elena Black and Myra Sade faced off in the ring. Uh, Elena Black was basically saying that she grinded on the indies to get where she's got. Myra Sade come in and basically, got given the opportunities in NXT that, that basically without having to do the work in a lot of ways. And, but yeah, there was a nice little promo between the two, and I felt like that's kind of where they're going with this. Elena Black saying, "Hey, I grinded, I had to do this, I had to do that. You showing up in NXT, and all of a sudden, everything you got given everything. I had to grind." So I think that's where they're going with it. There's definitely a single match there on the making between those two. I really want Elena Black in the title picture, though. I really do. I think when they sign these types of people, they've got to capitalize on them being there. And I feel as if, yeah, you need to they need to be getting Elena Black in that title picture pretty soon. Anyway, next week, we've got a stacked week on TNA Impact. We've got Santana and Slater versus the NMFs, Danny Luna versus Lei Ying Lee, AJ Francis and Mence Warner, the face-to-face between Ash and Mickey James, Jada Stone and Tasha Steeles. Macklin's going to be on the show as well. Interesting. And the Hardys and the Righteous will face the System next week. That is a hell of an impact next week on AMC and, of course, TNA Plus. But we had to then go to the main event, the Guitar Case Casket match. And you know what? Like, this was overbooked to hell, but it absolutely didn't care. It's exactly what it needed to be. It was brilliant. I loved it. Ali took some brutal punishment. He was tossed into some stacked chairs on the ramp, hitting face first on the wedge chair, performing a 450 splash on this through a table. He took a guitar shot to the face on this. Oh my goodness. It was it was just absolute craziness on Impact. I loved it. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. Yes, it was overbooked. Yes, it was crazy, but sometimes you just need that in wrestling. You don't get it too often in TNA, and it's nice. To a degree, but it's nice when you get it. And it's as entertaining as fun. And like I said, Ali has been the MVP in TNA over the last 8 months or so. And really, really, that guy should be, again, we're talking about people that be in a knockouts picture. He should be in the main event picture in TNA, in my opinion. He's absolutely brilliant. Now, the winner of this was Elijah. He choke slams Ali through the door of the casket. Remember, this is a guitar case casket. He then kind of pulls off the bit that Ali went through to be able to close the casket door. It was absolutely crazy. Elijah wins. What's next for Elijah? Because he's a bit of a conundrum in TNA. What is actually next from him? I'm not too sure. Because if you look at it, all the men's championships are faces, right? Am I right with that? Slater, Santana, and Miguel. They're all faces in the champions. And the tag team champions are the Hardys. So where does he go from here? Where does he go from here? Well, we'll find out in the coming weeks on TNA. It's an interesting conundrum with Elijah, but winning the Guitar Case Casket match. This was a solid show, TNA, absolutely solid. I'm really intrigued to see where Mickey James and Ash by Elegance go as well. Sinner and Saint looking great again on their return to TNA as well. Really looking forward to see where they go. And of course, that craziness, the casket match was awesome on TNA this week. But that's a wrap for TNA. We'll be back next week with another Impact review, so don't forget to check that out. Check out all of our stuff. Those of you that are wanting to see our TNA exclusive interviews, there is now an exclusive playlist. For the interviews, go down to the playlist option on our YouTube and select TNA exclusives, and all of the 18 interviews that we've done for TNA will be in there. But until next week, everybody, cross the line and stay safe.